Part question. First part is, what does a supervisor do? Second part is, do you consider yourself a micromanager or a broad idea person? Give an example. Carly?
Board of Supervisors, passes on the county budget, which concerns public safety, the DA's office, public health, parks, roads. It also hears passes on land use issues. I don't consider myself to be a micromanager. I consider myself to be more of a policy person. I think what we have now in the county government is for the 1940s. We have 32 department heads who each report to each of the 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. Nobody would ever create an organization like that to start. We have 71 boards and commissions that the County Board of Supervisors has created over time. That needs to be streamlined. The Board of Supervisors needs to set policy, hire people to implement it, deal with big issues, and hold managers accountable. Thank you.
I have no disagreement in the job description, and I have no disagreement in the number of boards and commissions that needs to be whittled down. I would definitely say I'm not a micromanager. I'll give you a couple of examples of maybe some forward-thinking ideas. We have a joint police and fire facility, the first of its kind, on Buena Vista Road. We've never done that before. Some people might not see a whole lot of benefit behind that, but the folks that see a police presence in their neighborhood and they're able to do police business without coming all the way downtown, there is a benefit to that. We're trying to come together and come up with some sort of a model that can include parks, fire stations, police substations, that type of thing all over town. How many of you have driven down 7th Standard Road lately? Major improvement from what it used to be a few years ago. There's a policy that I recommended that I asked that the city of Bakersfield and the city of Shafter and the county of Kern adopt, where you will only see traffic signals at the half-mile mark. You won't see any left-hand turns out. So you're going to have a much better traffic situation on 7th Standard Road. I would like to do the same thing for 119 through the city of Bakersfield. Thank you.
Okay, this question is for both candidates again. If you are elected as supervisor, what are you going to do about the pending dairy permits that Lorelei Ovia has been working on for the last 8 years?
I'll go first. Long ago, when the dairies first came to town, the city council, a committee that I was on, the Urban Development Committee, called it Urban Development at that time, it's now the Planning and Development Committee, we made a recommendation to the city council that they roundly ignored, but it is still applicable in this case. The dairies there ought to be a county-wide environmental impact report determining how many cows can we actually handle in Kern County, where can they go, how densely populated could it be. Then each particular dairy does a much more site-specific study when they come in and they pay a fee that pays the county back for their upfront costs. That hasn't been done yet. I believe that's a much more practical and business-like approach, and it sets the playing field for dairies that want to come in here. They know how many can come, they know where they can go. There's thousands and thousands of square miles in Kern County. They don't all have to be located right next to cities. I'm sure most of you might agree with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it does require leadership to move it along, and on that issue, I would try to move it along until the cows come home.
This next question is for Mr. Couch. I see that you loaned your campaign $100,000 of personal funds, and you say you're not taking union dollars. If elected, would you commit not to take union dollars?
I don't need 45 seconds for that. Sure, thank you.
Harley, this question is for you. Your opponent has served in the Bakersfield City Council for 14 years. How does your experience compare with his?
Well, my experience is in the private sector, but I've been a student and an observer and passionate about public policy since I can remember. And now our children are grown, so I have the opportunity to serve and to put myself forward. I think you can get knowledge when you're on the city council and LAFCO and whatever else, but I think you also have to have an approach of service and an approach of leadership. And I think I've demonstrated in different arenas in the community and in my work an ability for quiet leadership. And I'm not going to do anything else. This is my first and last rung on the political ladder. I haven't been elected to the city council, but I don't think that's Karen Goh hasn't been elected to anything. And I don't think it's a necessary requirement. I think if you're elected, sometimes you can get so involved in the inside baseball stuff that you don't focus on big issues and leadership, and that's what I would do.
Okay, I think this will be our last question. What would your policy, this is for both candidates, what would your policy be regarding union pensions and union strikes, and how do you stand on high-speed rail? Where do you stand? Sorry.
Do I get a half an hour for that one? I think that the attitude has to be, in the county government, city government, any government, is that government is competing with the private sector for employees. And so what the government offers for salaries, pensions, must reflect the private sector compensation. That's it's a simple principle that I would implement. I'm opposed to high-speed rail. I was opposed to it when I announced in September. I spoke at a forum that Assemblymember Valadeo and Assemblywoman Grove had. I helped the people with Save Bakersfield. I'm opposed to high-speed rail because it isn't good for Bakersfield. They build a ditch. They wouldn't have trains. They would completely disrupt our community, and then they leave. This is a project of the elites in California and in the Obama administration to force this upon us.
That's about a three-part question. Can you repeat that again?
What's your policy regarding union pensions, union strikes, and where do you stand on high-speed rail?
Well, I cast a vote in opposition to high-speed rail recently, towards the end of last year, I guess. I'm in a difficult position on high-speed rail, and I'll tell you what it is. I'll be brutally honest with you. As a member of the City Council, and our entire council has opposed high-speed rail. However, high-speed rail is still working every day to bring high-speed rail to our community. So we can say we don't want it, and we can be opposed to it, but if they're working diligently to bring it to us, we got to make sure that if we can't stop it, that it becomes whatever the best and least impactful project it can be. So it's a very difficult position that not only the city of Bakersfield, the county current find themselves in, but every city in California where that training is destined to go through. Union pensions, I would refer you to either my website, votecouch.com, because I only have 45 seconds, or the Current Citizens for Sustainable Government. You'll see a side-by-side comparison of my views and my opponent's views. Thank you. But they need continued reform.